I can tell last time we did this, right? I must have had this when I wasn't talking, and all you can hear is.
Okay.
So today I'm going to be like that when I'm not talking, because I'm a heavy breather. Hey, look, Catflap Chats, episode 102. We are back again with Mr. Gary Lockett. We're in the gym. Load of stuff to go through. I'm just saying off pod then, it's been a year since we've done this. It's flown by.
1 year, flown by.
It has flown by. Didn't think I'd get this far.
I think it was in when we were allowed out again.
Yeah, that's right.
We were able to do a few bits, but then obviously we went into another lockdown, didn't we? So
that's right.
Threw our lives into more chaos, but suffice to say, I think we're in a bit of a better position now. So happier now, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Big thanks to Tiny Rebel. It's well, it must be coming up to 10 o'clock in the morning, so we're not having a beer this morning. But you can take them home with you.
Bit early, even for my standards.
And mine, to be fair. But yeah, can't do that today. What's the last year been like, pal? What's news? What's good? Oh, you hate me saying pal as well, don't you?
Say what you want. Call me what you want.
Always tells me off when I say it. Not from
What's
Yorkshire.
this pal business? It's a new thing, isn't it?
I don't know where it come from.
Right, or
yeah.
Well, the value thing is butt, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's not me.
But
no. What has the last year been like?
Last year, obviously, we struggled a little bit because obviously, you know, I'm a pro boxing trainer, and not being able to get guys out. I think we had 3 fights in the whole of the lockdown. So not you know, having a gym full of fighters and not being able to get them out is very disappointing. But the situation is what it is, and you know, it was only the guys in title fights that were getting out. I got a few of those guys like Jay Harris, Chris Jenkins, guys like that. So Chris didn't actually box at all. Jay did. He managed to box twice, and incidentally, he's back out in 2 weeks' time at a new weight. WBA Intercontinental title at light flyweight, 7 stone 10. I can't remember at what age I was 7 stone 10.
Oh, it might be close to 3 of him, I think.
3. Yeah. So you know, the long and short of it was very frustrating for the boys and for myself as well. But we find ourselves, you know, a year on now from when we last did the interview. I think we find ourselves in a lot better position. There's still a lot of regulations and little bits of discipline that we have to do and we have to comply to in the fights and when we're at the venue. But on the whole, it's a lot more positive than what it was a year ago.
How do you, as a manager and coach, keep the boys motivated when either they're not allowed to fight or fights are coming up and then people are pulling out because of COVID or just can't match the fighters? Like, it must be hard as a boxer that you are reliant on ticket sales and sponsors for generating your own revenue at this level where you might be up to 10, 15, 20 fights probably in, and you're not headlining matchroom bills, for example. How hard is it for you to keep these boys together and keep them on the path and not going off doing different things?
I don't think really there's anything I can do. You know, I think what we can really do is just keep them coming in, keep saying to them that things are going to get better. But I think motivation really is, you know, I think a pro boxer needs to be self-motivated, doesn't he? And luckily enough, you know, the majority of them are still here, and obviously they're going to be active in the next few months. I had I think 3 or 4 out in September. We were supposed to have a bill tomorrow, but that got cancelled due to opponents pulling out and what have you. And incidentally, you just touched on that, opponents pulling out and things. A guy called Callum Smith that I train, he's been back and forth for about 18 months, once a week, twice a week. First fight in September in Cardiff in the Vale Sports Arena, we just couldn't get him an opponent, so he didn't box. I had to tell him the day before, he gutted. I had to tell him then the day before yesterday, this bill tomorrow was cancelled, so that's the second time he's sold a load of tickets. So what I don't want happening is his ticket sales being affected, because the next time he fights, people might go, oh, I'm one of those, might get cancelled or whatever. Yeah. So, but I'm going to try and get him on. Jay Munn, incidentally, he was on the same bill, but I've got him on next week in Swindon.
Okay.
So I've just got to place Callum on a different bill now, and just gutted for the kid. And you know, he's a very good kid, good, lovely style. Really looking forward to seeing him make his debut. But Yeah, so then 2 weeks time we've got the Vale Sports Arena again, Jay Harris as I mentioned, and I've got my two good prospects, Ben Crocker from Swansea and Kieran Jones from I always think it's Caerphilly. Is it Caerphilly? Or does he live in Caerphilly, or is it, I don't know. No, it's Bargard. I think it's Bargard area. I'll have to ask him when he comes down. Ask him. Bit of professional, I don't know where your guy
It must be hard having a stable of like 10, 12, 15 lads, and then you've got, because you're one of those people that you get to know people as well, so you know all about them, their backstories, where
I've
they
never
come
been
from.
to his house though. If I've been to his house, I know. But
I'd get confused, like all the different weights, where they're going out, when they're going out, who they're fighting, trying to like that's a big old job.
But no, Kieran and Ben, and then I've got the kid that I manage, Jamie Lee, Gavin Rees trains him incidentally. He was a good amateur as well, many moons ago. Took a few years out, and he's turned pro, so I manage him. He's on the bill as well. And then we have the bill in Cardiff, obviously the Liam Williams, Chris Eubank fight.
Yeah.
I have Rhys Edwards on the undercard there, which was I'd actually sorted that out about a month ago with Sky when the bill was supposed to be in Birmingham. So they basically put Rhys's name forward to one of my contacts, and they were going to put him on the bill. But obviously it's good news for Rhys. It's now been switched from Birmingham to Cardiff anyway.
Ticket sales was much better.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter with ticket sales because he's getting paid good money anyway.
Okay.
So the ticket sales would just be a bonus. He'd get a percentage of that.
Yeah.
But how many tickets are going to be available after they sell out at the box office? I don't know. Obviously they have to make sure that all the boys on the bill, on the left-hand side of the bill, get a portion of the tickets. But obviously, with it being such a small arena, I say small arena, 5,000, but for the fight that it is, I think it could probably sell out a lot more.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well. What's your thoughts on that then? Obviously Liam has had a couple of chances at the world title. Obviously you know him really, really well. Think you'll do him, Eubank? Tough fight.
Yeah, I'd for me, look, Eubank's a Sky fighter. Yeah. And they haven't picked Liam Williams because they think Liam Williams is going to beat him a bit. That's the way it works in boxing. But I just think that Chris Eubank, under Roy Jones, he seems a different fighter, and I don't think he has looked really that impressive last twice. Don't think Liam boxes as much as what he used to. I think he's more of a brawler now. But for me, I know how tough Liam is, and his desire to win, and how much he wants to get the win. So I'd slightly edge in favour of Liam Williams. But having said that, that uppercut of Chris Eubank works really well, doesn't it? And his engine is really good. So, as I say, I'd slightly favour Liam Williams. Perhaps I'm a little bit biased, but I'll be plugging for Liam Williams and pushing him on all the way.
I hope he does it. I don't know why. I just don't like Chris Eubank Jr. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's because you watch social media or you follow other people's opinions. Maybe I'm just not that fussed on him. But yeah. I hope Liam does it as well. It'll be class to see him try and get back up to that
definitely
top level. And just in terms of like boxing in general, then we've had since we last fought, there's been loads of fights. But the most recent sort of super fight, I suppose, would have been AJ and Usyk, and you've got Fury and Wilder. What's your thoughts when you look at that level of boxing now, and AJ, and he's looking at different trainers now, and Usyk's come in from cruiserweight and taking the belts? What's your overall thoughts on all that?
I think for me the fight was a simple one, and I just thought that people were asking me because I wasn't interested in it, to be honest. I was busy at the time and I had lots going on, and I didn't really think about it. If AJ bullies him, I don't think that Usyk would have been able to outbox him, because if you look at what Derek Chisora did, he was able just to walk forward all fight and throw with little regard as to what was coming back. Whereas with AJ, I think he's been chinned a couple of times. I say a couple of times, he's been chinned by, obviously Andy Ruiz, but he's been dropped a couple of times, been wobbled a couple of times. So I think he's not really that confident in his whiskers. So I think that forced him into fighting a quite negative fight. He was throwing that touch jab all the time, trying to get his range. And I think that just forced it into being a chess match. And you don't get into a chess match with I'd say probably one of the best technical guys there's been in Usyk, and the way he moves for a big man. You know, a lot of people said he's the heavyweight Lomachenko. I wouldn't quite go that far. I don't think there's anybody that can quite match Lomachenko's skills. But you know, he's one of the best technical men that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Joshua stood there and tried to have a boxing match with him. So
Yeah.
for me, you know, but that's the way that Joshua is. You know, once you get banged on the chin and you're a little bit suspect about your whiskers, obviously it forces you into boxing that way. And you know, a lot of people have slacked him off and run him down. I don't do that to fighters. You know, look at what he's done, Joshua.
What he's done for boxing in general, I think, in Britain.
What he's done, the money he's earned, what he's achieved. So, you know, at the end of the day, he lost to the better man on the night. Who's to say that in a return, he doesn't go out and bully him or fight and get a decision or stop him maybe? Who's to say?
It's interesting. What about Fury? Like, say, everyone wanted AJ. Well, I don't know if everyone wanted AJ to win, but I wanted AJ to win. So that him and Fury, right?
Of course.
I love AJ. Big fan. Been fortunate to meet him a few times, and I was never a big fan of Fury originally, but got to really like where he's come from, I suppose, with his troubles and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't see. Oh, she's right over there. I can't see AJ beating him, like, because surely Fury just boxes his head off and dances around a bit.
If you look at the fight against Wilder, and you know, look, Wilder has come in for a lot of criticism in many aspects, quite rightly so. This I want a death on my record thing is disgraceful. You know, and he said it. It's not just a one-off where he'd be able to explain himself by saying it was just an error of judgment. It was a stupid thing. I apologise. He said it time and time again. There's no place for that in boxing. And if it was me and I was the head of the board of control or whatever it is over there, I'd give him a ban. As simple as that. But there's a however. I believe in that last fight, you know, he gained a little bit of respect from me because he appeared to be spent after the 4th or 5th round. I mean, his hands were hanging by his side. He looked like he couldn't even stand up. But yet, in flashes, he kept fighting back and troubling. I was going to say AJ then. Fight never happened. Fury.
Yeah.
So, I think he hurt Fury right at the end of the 9th as well. And you know, for just a normal man on the street, watch this fight and turn the sound up. The shots that go in and the sound of the shots going in, it just makes you realise what a tough sport boxing is and what these guys are superhuman. Yeah. These pro boxers at a certain level are superhuman, and people think I'm joking. Not joking. The punches they take could probably kill like a normal man.
They break ribs for a normal person.
Yeah, 100%. So, you know, my level of respect for Wilder went up a little bit, just because of the way that he dug deep and didn't like the way he was after mine. But then again, when you got someone like Fury saying all those things in the lead up to the fight, it's bound to wind you up. But even though, you know, Wilder was just as bad himself, so you can understand a little bit of needle at the end. Yeah. But I think he has given respect now, I think, on social media, which is you know,
when nice. You let the dust settle, I suppose, and realise actually, look, we've both gone to war.
100%.
Don't be a dick.
I think in a lot of these fights where there's a big amount of beef in the lead up, you know, whoever wins, they don't actually respect each other in the ring. But then maybe a year later, when there's, you know, like you said, when a little bit of time's passed, and you say, well, maybe, you know, I ought to give him a little bit of respect now. And I think that's the case in maybe a lot of beefs over the years, isn't it?
Yeah. Fury beat Usyk?
I think that Fury would just be too big.
Yeah.
You can't beat him technically.
Yeah.
But
he is massive.
It's not going to be a technical fight. It'll just be. It will. Sorry, let me go back. I contradicted myself then. It will be a technical fight because it'll be a boxing match. But I just think maybe Fury will be just that bit too big, and you know, he'll attack at the right times, he'll defend at the right times. That's just my opinion. But listen, I'm wrong most of the time when it comes to shooting fights. So take the notes of what I just said.
What's last time we spoke, we didn't really get into your career much and like big amateur background. You said like some of the boxers you've got won't know what you did as an amateur or as a professional because there's not much footage about. There's not many sort of stories, the odd interview, the odd fight on YouTube maybe, but They don't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
So what was your route into boxing and through, you know, as a kid and through the amateurs? Like, what was that like? Because it was a different time back then to what it might be like now.
Yeah, I tell my son all the time, you know, just a different world. It's a different world. Just make an example. Just take mobile phones away.
Yeah.
It just becomes a different world.
Yeah.
Take mobile phones, the internet.
Yeah.
Take those two away. It becomes a different world times 5.
People wouldn't know how to survive. I wouldn't.
Do you know what? It wouldn't. And you know, sometimes in my house, you know, just like, right, listen, phones go away now.
Yeah.
8 o'clock, boom.
Yeah.
Let's watch TV. Let's do this. Do that. Have a glass of wine, whatever. But you know, I don't think, especially for children, it's not healthy for children to be on all the time.
Yeah. I say that my daughter's on my Nintendo Switch over there now, or hers. But the minute like we leave it,
yeah,
we'll
but
be out for the day.
everything in moderation.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just leave them to be on their tablet, they will be.
And then
they've
got a limit. Yeah, it's like an hour at a time or 12 hours at a time, whatever. Yeah.
Sensible. But I mean, look, I was pushed into it by my dad.
Yeah.
And never really in love with boxing, if I'm honest. Very successful. I can't speak well this morning. I'll start again. Very successful amateur career.
Yeah.
And I think I won British schools. Lots of Welsh. I think 12 Welsh titles all in all. But the major ones, British schools. I won the NABCs 3 times. I think myself and Andrew Selby are the only Welsh guys since it was formed to win all 3 age groups A, B and C.
Class.
Very prestigious title. There was the Golden Gloves, which was like the 4 nations now.
Yeah.
I won the Golden Gloves twice. The old Gaelic Games, that's no more. That was a great competition. It was Wales, Ireland, Scotland, Canada.
Oh yeah.
Won gold in that twice. And I won gold in the inaugural European Youth Championships.
Yeah.
Didn't really. I turned senior. I won in the senior championship once, and I boxed the reigning champion. I dropped him, and I thought won quite comfortably, but the Welsh ABA gave it against me 11 points to 8, and everybody was like scratching their head. So I turned pro not long after. 30 wins out of 32. Beat some, you know, some big names like Ryan Rhodes, and there was a guy from Australia called Kevin Kelly, who was a WBA title challenger, former Commonwealth champion, and won the WBU title, where, you know, you could never say you were a world champion. It's like the IBO now. You know, you couldn't really say you're a world champion, but it's a version, and every defence gets you decent money. Then a couple of those defences then led me to the number 1 contender position with the WBO, and then we thought that Kelly Pavlik was going to give the title up.
Yeah.
And me fighting a guy called Sebastian Zivic in a vacant title fight, but no, he didn't give it up. I had to fight him instead. So decent money, not a great experience, just too good for me, just that level above. Yeah. But can't be ashamed of losing to a guy like Kelly Pavlik, really. You
know, back then as opposed to now, are the differences in going from amateur to pro? Like, is it easier back then? Is it harder now? Is it easier now to go pro? Like, what's the differences for someone who's?
I don't really know the answer to that. I think, you know, when you go from amateur to pro, you need to go through a process. You need to go through a transition, and you need a coach who's able to do that. A lot of them don't do that. They're fighting exactly the same in their first 10 fights as a pro what they were when they were amateurs. Myself and Cordina have many conversations about this, and he explains it, you know, pretty similar as well. So when I have an amateur go pro, there's certain things I do with them. It's not just about punching. You know, there's more to boxing than punching. It's about defending. It's about fighting inside, and a lot of amateurs, they're constantly on the back foot, they're constantly on the move, and every time they come into range, they want to punch and they want to get away. You can't do that in the pros. Is at some point you're going to have to stand in and fight. So they've got to be comfortable on the inside. They've got to be comfortable taking punches on the gloves. But I'd imagine that it was the same back then, exactly the same. You needed a transition. I didn't have the proper transition, but I was one of those where, because I had natural power, I suppose I learned on the job.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you know, my power got me out of many situations. If someone was maybe too good for me technically, my power would get me out. I'd land once and my power would get me out of trouble. Or maybe if I'd done the weight all wrong, which I used to do lots. Again, nutritionists and the way that people do the weight now, it was completely different then. Starve yourself and cut off your water. We were all the same, you know, and
It's so dangerous though.
it is. You know, how I didn't have a bloody brain injury, I don't know. You know, the last couple of days in the sauna, in and out of the sauna, losing half a stone when you were already dry.
Yeah.
You're already dehydrated, and then you're still losing loads and loads of weight in sauna. So, you know, things are just so much different. You know, and the way boxers can sell themselves now and plug themselves on social media, there was none of that.
Yeah.
I sound like I'm ancient.
It's only like the last 20 years,
I
isn't
retired
it?
2008.
Yeah. Well, there we are.
So obviously,
yeah,
the internet was about then, but I mean, and it was quite advanced then. But I just say, I think 2008. I think Facebook was only just coming out then.
Yeah, I was in uni. I just finished uni 2008. I remember having it in uni, so maybe 2005 or 6.
2000, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Twitter was about then.
Yeah.
But like Instagram and things like. But it wasn't
What
at
is
the level what it is
No,
now.
not at all.
You know, it's tenfold now what it was. So I think this like we said about having children on phones and on tablets and stuff all day. Like I think there's good and bad, isn't it? I think there's good ways to use phones and to use tablets with your children. There's good ways, but then again, if you keep them on them all day doing what they want, they're just going to become a couch potato, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing with children is keeping them active, isn't it? And
she loves being out, to be fair. Like, we'll go out now for the day. My missus in work, so we'll go out for the morning now, get lunch somewhere, come home mid-afternoon, put a rugby on then, and she can play Lego or whatever, do you know what I mean?
yeah, great stuff.
She gives gold, to be fair. What, like your son now, you mentioned your son a couple of times, like boxing, not like boxing, won't let him fight, does he want to, he's a good sportsman, because I see on Facebook obviously, he's a good sportsman, good athlete. Does he feel the pressure from you, or not from you, sorry, but does he feel the pressure of being your son and wanting to like feel like to please you or anything?
No, because I took that pressure away from him. If you come to my house, you never ever know that I was a boxer, because there's nothing at all in my house boxing, nothing at all.
Yeah.
And whatever there is boxing is hidden away. So, for instance, I have some gloves and stuff like that. I just contradicting myself again. What I'm saying is there's nothing of there's nothing of my career on show.
Yeah.
The boxing gloves that I have are hidden away in the garage.
Yeah.
So there's nothing on show. There was nothing where he could, like when he was a kid, go, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I never wanted that for him.
Yeah.
I wanted him to choose his own path. And now he has. He plays tennis to a good level at Cardiff Lawn Tennis Club. He actually plays for Pontypridd under 16s at district now. Doing really well with that. Loves the training. Yeah. And it's just so professional. Under 16s training like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Strength and conditioning twice in the university gym up there in Treforest. Absolutely loves it. Lives for training. Yeah. Doesn't go out hanging around on the streets. Yeah. Only times he goes out is to exercise and probably to eat. So yes, it's good. Lucky with him and with my daughter as well. She's 9. She's active as well. Athletics, trampoline, and gymnastics. So my life in the nights. I always say I'm never in a gym at night. Yeah. Bloody running them around all the time.
Taxi service.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, yeah.
You mentioned about training, like going from, obviously I asked from amateur to like pro. You're in a fortunate position, I suppose fortunate, you've worked hard to get there, where you train not only boxers, but also UFC fighters as well. Yeah. What's the difference between training someone like Jack Shaw, who he's been on, absolutely loved it, so training someone like him as opposed to training someone like Joe Cordina, for example, if he's here and not at Tony's gym down in Essex? Like what's the difference between those, the preparation and from your point of view as a boxing coach, to get them ready for their fights? Because they're both striking combat sports, but they are different as well.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I have to mention that my involvement with Jack is very, very minimal. Yeah. Very minimal. Yeah. So I can't take any credit for anything, to be honest. I wouldn't want to take credit for any one of my own boxers because they're in the ring. Yeah. I just help them to get where they are. But it's just striking probably once a week, and then he might come and do some sparring with the boys once a week as well. I think the main focus with MMA is the all-around skills. So obviously I've got my job, then his Thai boxing coach has got a different job, then with his dad is the main of the work. The main of the work is hard work, as it is with boxing. But with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the wrestling, and all that type of thing, that's what they're going to be doing most of the time. Whereas with me, as I say, my job is minimal. Once or twice a week I'll see Jack. Whereas with the boxing, I think that's the general consensus of most of your work, or it should be. And if it's not, you're not doing it in the right way. If you're running more the more you are boxing, then you're doing something wrong. And you see all these guys, and I've been doing all this strength and conditioning 3-4 times a week. A boxer. Yeah. So when the bell rings, you've got to run to the centre of the ring and go do the deadlifts, yeah? It has a place. But the main of your work has to be your boxing work.
And do you approach it differently then for a boxer as you would a UFC, or is it, because you said about the all-round skill then for UFC, so with a boxer, I suppose you're sharpening tools, where with UFC you might be more teaching the tools. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think with Jack we've been together maybe 4 years perhaps. He started when I was back in UFIT, didn't he? 4 years, even 5 years maybe. So the main has been taught. He was already good anyway. He was already capable on his feet anyway. So I think the main things that I wanted to get across to him have been taught. There'll be little bits and bobs. You're doing this. You're starting to lift your elbow a little bit. Keep your elbow down. It's just keeping him on track. You might go. In general life, sometimes we go off track. Your dad go, no, do this. Same with boxing. Same with anything. You've got to keep that discipline. And just because you can throw a perfect right hand, there's no perfect right hand, there's no perfect nothing, but say you throw a real good right hand, if you're on your own a lot of the time training, sooner or later you're going to start doing something that's slightly not as good. So you need, I think, the technical eye to go, just start doing it this way again. So I think that's the main thing. But I think it's just a case of, with the MMA boys, it's just a case of getting them striking properly, knowing when to strike, and not striking for the sake of striking, running forward, launching shots when the openings are not there.
I mean, you see some of the videos and they literally run in, flying knee, outcut, like...
I know the one you're talking about.
Who teaches that? Like, that's surely just instinct, like...
It's just catching someone by surprise, isn't it? There's just so many of those things, like the spinning back fist. I just think, how do you protect against something like that?
How do you train for that?
There's so many ways of losing in MMA. So you might be great in every discipline, and then some smart ass comes pelting across the ring and knees you in the face, and then it's game over. It's just so many ways to get beaten. Boxing, and I'd say the vast majority of the time, if you're better than the other guy, then the vast majority of the time you're going to win. But in this MMA, it's a funny old, you could be dominating someone and then you make the wrong move and then you nearly get your arm snapped and you get caught in an arm bar.
I couldn't get in the ring, I don't think.
Octagon.
The octagon, sorry, yeah.
You want me to tell you something? Snap.
Don't bother.
Snap. I couldn't either.
Just like to learn all of those different sports which are in their own right hard and brutal, to bring it all together, it's phenomenal.
It takes a special kind of person. Boxers, superhuman people. I rate MMA right up there with all the way up there with boxing. And a lot of people find it quite barbaric, I suppose. Even my dad. When I said to my dad the other day, I said, Dad, I'm going to send you a link. Have a look at this fight, right? It was Michael Chandler against Justin Gaethje. Right? And my dad said, oh my God. He said, that's one of the best fights I've ever seen. And normally he'd be like, nah, that's not really for me. But I think it was a lot, most of the fight was fought on the feet, wasn't it? And it was just a good old slugfest. And how Michael Chandler kept taking them shots, I really don't know. It was just unbelievable.
That's what people love. They love the blood and guts of it.
Of course they do.
And I feel like it's not losing the art of hitting and not being hit, but I love that aspect. So like when people go, oh, Mayweather, defensively, he hardly got hit. Like Fury doesn't get hit loads.
Yeah.
I mean, when he did,
Exactly.
he get dropped, but when like people throw him punches at him, he's like, and it's hitting the shoulders, slipping. Like, that's all right. I find that like really skillful. Like, it's brilliant.
Yeah, because I think you're more of a boxing purist, I suppose. But you know, for the man on the street, he doesn't really want to see that. He wants to see the blood and guts element, doesn't he? So I think, you know, I understand what you're saying. Where, you know, with Mayweather, I was fascinated watching him boxing. I think he did lose a couple of fights, man. I will say that.
Yeah.
I thought he lost to De La Hoya. I thought he lost the first one against Castillo. But it's subjective as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what you like.
People know where their cash cow is as well. Like, where the money
I mean,
is.
look at the Canelo thing now, with all the
Unbelievable
drug cheat stuff and
Yeah.
and what have you, and you know, Plant was saying about it in the press conferences all in the lead up to the fight, and the commissions and the WBC, they just go, oh,
Yeah, too much money involved.
what did he say?
Yeah.
They just turn a blind eye to it. It's just unbelievable.
Have you seen the clip of them two? I think it's like in the 9th round, talking to each other.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. A lot of people said to me, they said, that's fake. I said, it's not fake. You know the speakers. That's Mike from ringside.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think, you know, Plant was quite a strange thing for Plant to do, but respect to him. He went, you know, went 11 rounds with him and gave him a good fight until he started to just run out of gas a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, I respect the man. He gave him a good fight.
Do you get frustrated at times as a boxing coach when you're like ringside and someone does want to go toe to toe and it's going against what you might have trained for, because it's the heat of the moment, they might have took one or they might have caught them and think, right, I'm going to try and finish him. Like, do you get frustrated with that, or is it, being an ex-boxer yourself, you kind of understand that mindset of, right, let's just calm it all back down now, let's stick back to plan? Like, what's that interaction like in the corner?
Sorry, I misunderstood. What are you asking me? Is it frustrating when a fighter doesn't do what they're told? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So say you've got a fighter, you've been working on a game plan, something happens in the fight, and he's off script then, and he's going for it or whatever.
You know, I've always been considered like the calmest man in the corner.
Yeah.
I got a kid called Meredith Thomas.
Yeah.
This guy hits harder than I've ever felt anybody hit. You look at his record, can't stop anybody. He gets in a fight and says a journeyman, and he go bang. You hit the journeyman on the shoulder, and you see the fear in their eyes, like this.
Yeah.
And they just run. They run for the rest of the fight. But then with Meredith, he'll follow someone around the ring, and then he gets them to the ropes. That's where you throw your shots. When they're on the ropes, they can't go back. They can only go to the side. So let them go. And then he gets them to the ropes, and then he hesitates, and then they're gone. I can remember he boxed in Newport. I was screaming, and people said, "What's wrong with Gary? That's so out of character."
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with Meredith, because he's got so much potential, so much power, and he just can't seem to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And it happened. He was one of the guys that fought in lockdown. Actually, he fought for the WBC youth title, wherever that is, and it was over 8 rounds.
Yeah.
Which I didn't understand, and he got outboxed for long periods, but then he started clipping the guy, and you could see the guy, he was hurting the guy, you know? And I didn't have it close, but the judges did.
Yeah.
But I think if it had been another 2 rounds, I think Meredith possibly could have maybe caught up with him and stopped him. But he's such a lovely kid. But he just, you know, he just needs to box, and he needs to let his power come into his boxing. And as I say, he's a lovely kid. He hit me on the fingers yesterday as well. So he wasn't such a lovely kid yesterday. You know.
Give him a little clip back.
Yeah. No, I couldn't do that.
Well, just with the pad around the end.
Yeah.
And like again, like with you, you've got multiple roles where you're coach, trainer, but you're also manager for some.
For some of them, yeah.
Again, like, how are you able to? What am I trying to say? How are you able to differentiate between the two? Because you might have a boxer that you're managing but don't coach.
Yeah.
And may not agree with what's happening.
Great point.
How do you differentiate between those?
Only manage fighters where the trainer is on your wavelength. I mean, for instance, I manage Jamie Lee, who's trained by Gavin. You know, Gavin, myself, trained Gavin for the last 11 fights of his career. So Gavin knows me, knows what I'm all about.
Yeah.
So there's never going to be a problem there.
Cool.
And if there was a slight problem, we quickly sort it out, definitely. But there has been times where I haven't necessarily agreed with the manager if I'm the trainer.
Yeah, okay.
And the trainer if I'm the manager.
Yeah.
Jay Munn is trained by a guy called Chris Davis, Mungie. We get on very, very well.
I know him, yeah.
Yeah, of course, we get on very well. He's just a proper guy.
Yeah.
And he's, he just asks questions. Where's this? What's that? Are you fighting? Yeah, great. He's no problem. But sometimes trainers can just make things a problem.
Yeah.
Whereas they think that I'm trying to do them wrong.
Yeah. Is that like an inferior kid? Is it like an inferior complex then? Do you reckon?
No, I don't think so. I just think some people, whether they're managers or trainers, maybe they just ain't on the same wavelength as you. Listen, we get on, but maybe if we had a business deal, we wouldn't get on. People just disagree with each other. I'm not necessarily saying these people that I've disagreed with before are bad people. I'm just saying that people just think in different ways, don't they?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, all I try to say to them sometimes is, like, I manage the kid.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him the best opportunities.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to I wouldn't say the word I was going to say then. I'm not trying to do anything that's detrimental.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him the best opportunities and do the best for him. So it's like banging your head against a brick wall. But luckily enough, I've not had very many, maybe one or two situations where we've had a slight disagreement. That's it.
I suppose I think people in general forget that it's business and not personal. Like, if it's a business decision, step back. Like, it's hard to read the label when you sat in a jar. Like, step back and look at it. Oh, actually, for the business, although it doesn't for me, the business, that does actually might make sense. Let's explore it.
Yeah, of course. And it is business, but I think with someone like myself, because I spend so much time in the gym with these guys, it ain't business for me, because I couldn't just train someone and not have a relationship with them. That would be very hard for me to do. You spend so much time with someone. For me, it comes hand in glove that you would have a relationship with someone who's spending so much time with them.
Yeah.
And I think I've got a relationship with all the guys, a good relationship with all the guys, and I like to think that they trust me as much as they trust anyone, especially in boxing and with their finances and with the business aspect.
You've, like, in your own career and then even in like your coaching career, you've had some setbacks in terms of boxers losing, injuries, whatever, lots has been documented about certain things, right? How do you as a trainer and a manager and just as a person now in your career overcome those things, and the next day you can walk back in and go, right, we go again? Like, because yes, the fighters are in the ring, but you've got to bring that energy for them as well at times. Like, how do you stop yourself being in a rut, I suppose, and sort things out?
Well, but when setbacks happen and everybody's talking, I mean, the Nick Blackwell thing, that was the worst moment of my life, and don't forget, I didn't actually do anything wrong.
No, and that's the thing, but it was a setback.
You listen to the commentators, and no one ever mentioned that fight being stopped. I've never watched the fight, but this is what I'm told. The only time people started saying, point is when he collapsed. People start pointing the finger then. But look, he made a full recovery, but then what he did to himself after that, going down, it was a place in the southwest, sparring a cruiserweight. The trainer and the cruiserweight that made it happen both got banned. But that's no good to Nick, because Nick, has now got, he's healthy, he's fit, he's healthy, and he's happy. But obviously it was a massive thing for him to go and do that. But how did I get over things like that? Certain setbacks. Boxers losing, that's nothing compared to what happened with Nick and that whole situation. But boxers losing in different setbacks, of course. But the way that I've managed to sort of get it in my mind is, today's news is tomorrow's chip paper. And people soon move on to the next person, especially the haters, the people criticising you, are the people who've got an axe to grind anyway. The real people who know you or know me anyway. The real people who know who I am wouldn't criticise in the first place. So people who criticise me don't really bother me anymore, because they used to. But then I'm my own man now, and you know, I got my own thing. I got a fantastic family. I'm pretty successful in most of the things that I do. So people want to criticise, they just got an axe to grind, haven't they? There's other reasons why they want to criticise.
I mean, you do support Liverpool, so that's probably one. She's a Liverpool supporter somehow as well.
But why wouldn't she be a Liverpool supporter? You know,
I don't know.
One of the most entertaining teams on the planet.
They are
best player in the world.
They are good, to be fair. It does kill me to say that, but
best player in the world as well. You know?
Yes, he is class. Salah.
At the moment, obviously.
Yeah, no, he is. He's unbelievable at the moment. That's probably one little thing you can probably iron out. What's the, like, again, I suppose a year ago when we were talking, what was the future? The future was trying to get fighters back out and back training and COVID regulations and all this other stuff. Like, what's the future like now for the stable of boxers, for you? What is going to go on?
The immediate future is some ibuprofen.
Sort his chest out.
Tennis elbow.
Have you?
Probably one of the worst things I've ever had in my life.
Is it?
It's absolutely unbelievable. I can't pad at all. I couldn't even think of padding. Taking a punch on that is just unbelievable.
I suppose you go through the rigours, not quite the same as boxers now, but your joints and like your arms and all that.
Just as much as boxers, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Because with boxers it's push.
Yeah.
Throwing punches with me, it's kind of pull.
Yeah.
So it's loads and loads of strain on my rotator cuffs, my shoulders, my back, my elbows, my wrists.
You're still in good nick though, you still got it.
Well, I don't understand people, like, I don't understand boxers who retire and then just go out of shape. You know, I've never stopped training, to be honest. But at the moment, with all my injuries, I have to go, right, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. I'll hit the bag with one hand, and I'll do squats. Yeah. And then I'll run the stairs, and then I can't do weights, I can't do biceps, but I can do chest. Yeah. So I can do push with my elbow, but I can't, like, so I just work things so as I'm always training at least 4 or 5 times a week anyway. So yeah, I always keep myself active.
And for the boxers, for the stable, what's coming up then? Where can people see some of the boxers?
Well, like I said earlier, the Vale Sports Arena, that's on the 26th. Now that is, as I say, Vale Sports Arena, that's on ESPN. ESPN +1, I think, and then it'll be on it's the what's it called? It's the MTK channel on YouTube and IFL TV. Yeah. It'll be on that as well. Yeah. Okay, and then what else have we got? And we've got that bill, December the 11th. Obviously the big one with Williams and Eubank. Yeah. Reece on the undercard there. Hopefully he gets a TV slot, and that's obviously on Sky Sports. And then really looking forward to the new year and to see what it brings. You know, got some really good prospects in the camp. Guys I got really big hopes for. As well as bringing Chris Jenkins back. You know, that defeat to Ep102. He was just boxing so well, and then he got his ribs broken in the second round. I mean, look, when he came back at the end of the second round, I said, listen, you've got to guard against complacency here because you're going to box his kid's head off. He just hasn't got any answer. He boxed, and he leaned and he went, my ribs gone. I went, what? How bad? He went, really bad. So I went, right, okay, let's just see how he reacts. And he was still boxing really well. Yeah. You know, and going into the 8th round when he actually got stopped in the 8th round, the fight was really in the balance. So, you know, he said to me after, boss, what do you think? Am I finished? And I said, no. I said, look, if you're finished, the first person that's going to tell you is me. If you took a beat and you weren't in the fight at all, and you didn't look, I'd have gone, Chris, it's time to back it in now. Yeah.
He's had such a rough ride, hasn't he, Chris?
He has had a rough ride, but don't forget, man, he's you know, when he became champion, you know, people know, because he cut so easy, people know just to leave their head in. Yeah. He's had his fair share of that as well.
I think you saw 10, 11 different cuts, maybe?
Oh, it's more than that now.
Is it?
But when he gets cut, mind, it's not just nicks. Yeah. They're massive, like 15, 16 stitches outside, 10 stitches inside cuts, you know, so obviously Chris, we're going to bring Chris back. I think he's got another title in him, definitely, but he just needs the right route back, the correct route back.
Funny boy, I'd love to see him do well.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Funny boy.
Not funny, just a real person as well. A real good, genuine person. And little Jay Harris, you know, he boxed Martinez for the world title, the WBC world title back back just before lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And did so well. Brought him back then against Marcel Braithwaite in a tough fight, and then he was just unlucky to come up against Ricardo Sandoval, who was quite special on an MTK bill. Got stopped in that with a body shot, but just reinvented him now, brought him down a weight. I always said he could do light fly, and no way, I'd never do that. And his dad, oh Gary, what you tried to do to me? But he's going to do it, and he's going to do it comfortable. And let's just hope that at this weight now, it just brings a new lease of life. And massive for the weight, even though he still looks he's like 15, 16. Sorry, Jay, if you watch this, but it's just a running joke when he walks in.
Yeah.
I say to someone, "How old do you think he is?" And they go, 14, 15. I'm like, he's 30 years of age. You're like, what? But no, that's a good thing though.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
still looks so young.
Yeah,
at the age of 30.
still got it.
So hopefully he's fighting for the WBA Intercontinental.
Yeah.
Now, should he come through that, then he has a final eliminator for the full, what do they call it now? It's the WBA Super title. I don't see why it just can't be called the WBA title.
Yeah, I don't get it, like, because you've got like Diamond Champion,
That's
Super
WBC.
Champion.
The WBA,
yeah, there's all different.
The WBA were far and away worse than that. There was WBA Interim Champion, WBA Global Champion, WBA Champion, WBA Super Champion. So how can
You're 4 WBA champions there.
Yeah, they now in August they basically stripped all of their interim champions. I don't really understand what an interim title was. I can remember Roy Jones fought a guy called Michael Cameron, a great fighter, but was past his best, and it was for the WBC interim title. So I said to my dad, what's this interim title? He said, well, it just means that, see, the champion is injured.
Yeah.
So it just means whoever wins this interim champion, when the champion is better, he gets a shot at the champion.
Okay.
But then the WBA, they started making fights for the interim title. So I'm like, well, what's wrong with the champion then? Well, nothing. It's just interim title.
Just
so
another fight.
Really, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just a way just to get sanctioning fees off people. So I think the best thing they could have done was do that. But I'd like to see it. People say I'd like to see one title in each weight division.
Like the UFC.
I don't necessarily agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Because as a trainer and as a coach, you get so many different chances then.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of titles around, like intercontinental titles. Obviously, the main ones: the British, Commonwealth, European, and one of the world titles.
Yeah.
You know, you've done really well if you win even a British title when you turn pro.
But I think this is what annoys me. Like Chris,
I know
British
exactly
title.
what you say. I know exactly what you're going to say.
People think they don't care.
Unless you're world champion,
Exactly.
you're nothing.
Exactly.
But you know what? We had a guy who spoiled us. You might remember. His name was Joe Calzaghe.
Yeah.
He was world champion for so long.
Yeah.
That in Wales we've been spoiled. So people just go, oh, well, British champion, is he? Ah, right, okay. When's he going to win a world title then? Do you realise what it means to be a world champion?
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be. You've got to either be very special, or you've got to be managed into a spot. And look, sometimes
The stars align.
Sometimes the stars align, and you
Yeah.
get a guy win a world title, and you go, how's he won that?
Yeah.
They beat someone who ain't really that good.
Yeah.
But the stars have just aligned, and I'm not taking anything away from anyone. But sometimes you have to fight someone like Kelly Pavlik.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to fight someone like Canelo.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to fight someone like.
And that's your
GG.
chance.
And that is your chance. That's
Yeah.
the only chance you're going to get.
Yeah.
So you have to take that chance.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Maybe get
people are
paid.
people are just luckier than others. You know, I
Yeah.
suppose. But that's just the way it works, isn't it?
Yeah, it's annoying. You go, they're just, I suppose, casual fans or whatever. Like, and you've had Selby obviously as world champion as well for ages.
Brilliant.
So Wales has been
Excellent
blessed
fighter.
with. He's changed weights now, hasn't he? He's going after it at a different weight. Like, I haven't seen much of what he's been up to. Obviously, he's been training loads and that. But do you ever in touch with those guys down there in Newport?
No, I speak to Lee when I see him, but I'm not
Yeah.
really in touch with him. But no, listen, he's a credit to his family and a credit to himself. You know, what he's achieved in boxing, come from where he was. Because don't forget, he didn't come from like the GB setup.
Yeah.
He won a couple of Welsh titles and stuff like that. But I think he's just improved
Yeah.
since he turned pro. So you know, what I meant by that is he didn't have the same background as his brother. His brother was, you know, a multi-titled amateur. So yeah, he's done fantastically well, didn't he?
Learning on the job. Hey mate, 50 minutes. Flies by. I always enjoy. I feel like this should be like a regular thing, maybe like once a year now. Just come down and see what
Brother,
boxing's
anytime,
like.
anytime.
I enjoy it.
You just give me the names of people and we'll just slag them off. That's just a joke, by the way.
Fucking day. Visit catflapchats.com to see all of our back catalogues, our merch, and our partners. Big thanks to Tony Rebel. Mr. Lockett, big thanks to you, pal.
My
Appreciate
man.
it.
No problem.
Loved it.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll catch you again soon.
Thank you.